What's going on, everybody? Rob here with Curated Culture, and today I want to talk about that wonderfully weird Firefly Funhouse match from Wrestlemania. Now, unless you've been under a rock the last couple of days, you will have undoubtedly heard of this by now. The Firefly Funhouse match took place in night number 2 of Wrestlemania this past weekend. It was a very creative, very stirring way to generate interest around the event that was held from the WWE Performance Center without an audience, which was one of the biggest things, one of the biggest characters in WrestleMania every single year is the crowd, the audience itself, you know, the athletes, the performers, the wrestlers, the WWE superstars feed off the energy from that audience, and I for one thought that WrestleMania this year would be kind of a stinker. Lo and behold, it was actually a pretty decent event, but that's for another video. Today I want to try to dissect the Firefly Funhouse segment from Bray Wyatt and John Cena. Now, for starters, this match wasn't really a match in and of itself, and in fact it ended up being one of the most meta things that WWE has ever done. It took the premise of a traditional wrestling match and set it on its head, and in turn it ended up coming across and feeling more like a visual promo than an actual traditional wrestling match. In this segment, we got to see Bray Wyatt force John Cena to battle his biggest opponent so far, which ended up being himself. From start to finish, the Firefly Funhouse segment ended up being more of a retrospective on John Cena's career, as well as a moment for John Cena to look into the proverbial mirror and reflect on all the decisions, both personal and character-wise, that he made, all the while making Bray Wyatt come out looking like $1,000,000. Now, before this, we had only seen cinematic style wrestling matches from the likes of Matt Hardy, who undoubtedly is the pioneer of match types like this, along with other full-blown TV shows like Lucha Underground, for example, was one of the first mainstream products to bring cinematic wrestling to the forefront. Matt Hardy took that format and ran with it, and now it appears that WWE is also taking the baton from Matt Hardy and going along with it as well. So in the opening moments of the match, we see a traditional John Cena entrance. He's coming down. He's got the Never Give Up towel in his back pocket, and he was getting ready to do the Welcome to WrestleMania thing. Cuts away, and we get treated to an intro of sorts from Bray Wyatt, welcoming everybody to the Firefly Funhouse. And then, thanks to the magic of editing, John Cena is now in said Firefly Funhouse. He walks through a door and is immediately confronted by a Vince McMahon puppet who's asking present day John Cena if he had what it takes to make the sacrifices and to do everything that's required to be a WWE superstar, and if he had ruthless aggression, which basically led us into Bray Wyatt standing in the ring playing the role of Kurt Angle. And it's a very, very brilliant callback to one of John Cena's earliest notorious moments, where he came out and he challenged then Kurt Angle with a slap to the face after Kurt Angle asked him what he thought he had that would allow him to stand in the ring or to go toe-to-toe with Kurt Angle, and John Cena uttered those two infamous words, ruthless aggression, and so began the legend of John Cena. So we got to see a little bit of a fun callback there. John Cena was draped in full prototype gear. He kept Hollywood Cena's haircut, of course, but Bray Wyatt kind of toyed with that idea of John Cena being afraid to fail, or what if he had actually failed. And there was a nice little Nikki Bella shout out in there too, with Bray Wyatt singing the theme song, which I thought was really fun, really entertaining. From there, we got to a very weird but very intriguing Saturday night main event segment, which saw Bray Wyatt in his Muscle Man dance gear, and he's cutting a promo like back in the 80s talking about wrestlers and body type, and it was really, again, an eye-opener, because this segment in particular played on the fact that Vince McMahon prefers people who are big, muscle-bound bodybuilders, and it doesn't actually take talent more than it does having a great physique to be a WWE superstar. This is where we see Bray Wyatt introduce his tag team partner, who is none other than John Cena, the embodiment of what everything Vince McMahon wants in a superstar is, and he comes out and he's doing the extra over-the-top, super loud Hogan-esque promo, and he's curling weights and all that fun stuff. And this is one of the first major times during this whole thing that we really start to see exactly what Bray Wyatt is driving at, and where we see the parallels that are drawn between John Cena and Hulk Hogan, which will come into play in the very next segment, which saw us introduced to the Doctor of Thugonomics version of John Cena, who is really the beginning, the apex, if you will, of John Cena's notorious in-ring character, who is known more of a person to be more into himself than actually helping build up other talent. And this is where the parallels between Hogan and Cena really start, because as we're all aware, Hogan really only cared about himself in the ring and would often flex the muscles of his creative control and his contract to make sure that the booking always went his way. And this is where we see Bray Wyatt touch down on that infamous WrestleMania 30 match between himself and John Cena, in which Bray Wyatt was red hot. He was untouchable almost, and had an organic following within the WWE universe. His character was doing well. He's got the whole world singing in every single event that he was at. The crowd just really loved Bray Wyatt. Whereas John Cena was in a very interesting time in his career, where the audiences, because they were so tired of having John Cena kind of forced down their throats, had began to boo him at every single turn. Now, in this match, we all know how it went. John Cena ended up going over clean over Bray Wyatt, but there was an interesting moment, an interaction in this match where Bray Wyatt was trying to get John Cena essentially to get himself disqualified by just destroying Wyatt with a chair. They did this several times, and they played up to it, with the premise being Bray Wyatt had spent several weeks cutting promos about how John Cena was the actual monster and how he was going to expose him for what he truly was at WrestleMania, and that never happened. And during this whole segment, we got to see Bray Wyatt kind of toy with the idea of what if. And he does this by drawing yet another parallel to Hulk Hogan, in which we get to see John Cena come down to the ring dressed in full NWO gear, while Bray Wyatt's in the ring as the Eric Bischoff of the time, introducing Cena as the coolest wrestler in all of the business. And we get to see them kind of play it up with the two sweet salutes and all that, and then we get to see the real John Cena. He throws the NWO hat off and starts attacking Bray Wyatt, and then we kind of fast forward a bit and we see the Firefly Funhouse puppets, Sister Abigail, we see Mercy the Buzzard, we get to see Huskus the Pig, who is in the ring, and John Cena is pummeling him now instead of the actual Bray Wyatt. And I can't help but wonder if Huskus the Pig was meant to symbolize, some of the other talent that was essentially demolished by John Cena refusing to do what he should have done this whole time, which was turn heel. We saw him completely demolish the Nexus, the entirety of the Nexus at SummerSlam, and then a few months later we saw him demolish Wade Barrett in a chairs match at TLC. We also got to see him destroy Damien Sandow after Damien Sandow had garnered quite a bit of heat by winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. We got to see John Cena diminish all the heat that Baron Corbin had built up as a Money in the Bank winner, and it's a pattern that continues and continues and continues along the entirety of John Cena's career, and this moment in particular is no doubt kind of a callback to that, with Bray Wyatt serving as the catalyst, saying that John Cena was supposed to be the man of the people, but he wasn't listening to him. There's really interesting stuff there, and it did do a deep dive into the psyche behind what I assume is how Bray Wyatt truly and genuinely felt about the situation. And with John Cena being on board, I have to wonder if this acts as an acknowledgement of Cena, of his actions in the past. Now, the match itself, very little wrestling here. We got to see, after all of this, the Fiend pop up behind John Cena, hits him with the mandible claw, and then one of the most interesting pieces of this whole thing happens as the Fiend cradles John Cena and gets ready to drop him with Abigail's kiss. We get to hear John Cena's words harken back from a promo that he had just cut on SmackDown, where John Cena said he was going to put an end to the most overhyped, overprivileged, overvalued WWE superstar. Now, with him saying that, I have to also imagine, was he saying that towards Bray Wyatt at the time, or was that a little bit of foreshadowing, giving away the ending of the match, so to speak? Be that as it may, I am one of the belief that the Firefly Funhouse segment was legit one of the best things to happen at any WrestleMania in any given decade and any given time. Like how it was pulled off. Again, the jabs into John Cena's career, the retrospective aspect, and just the brilliance of the Bray Wyatt and Fiend characters so far, man. It's been incredible. So I was a big fan of it. I loved it, and I can't wait to see what happens from here, because another interesting aspect to all of this is every time somebody interacts with the Fiend, their character undergoes a massive change. We saw it with Daniel Bryan. We saw it with Seth Rollins. We saw it with Braun Strowman. And now, maybe we'll see it with John Cena. That's it for today, guys. That was a real quick recap slash perspective on that Firefly Funhouse segment from WrestleMania 36 this past weekend. If you liked this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, give it a like. Make sure that you comment down below too. What were your thoughts about it? Did you like it? Are you a casual fan that was really confused over what's going on? You're a hardcore fan that absolutely loved it? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get more videos just like this one. And also turn on the bell icon so you get notified when I upload. My name is Robbie Diesel with Curated Culture. I want to thank you guys so very much for watching. If you want to follow along, catch us on Twitter via @_Curated Culture, or you can follow me personally @Robbie Diesel on the tweets, on the Instagrams, and on the Snapchats. I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.